I thought the darkness came to bury me, but it was only teaching me where the light was. I spent so many nights talking to the ceiling, trying to convince my heart that tomorrow had a meaning. I wore a smile outside while something inside was breaking. Everybody thought I was strong, they never saw what I was carrying. I learned how to disappear while standing in a crowded room. Learned how to say I'm fine when I was falling through. There were days I couldn't recognize the person in the mirror. I kept running from my memories, but somehow they ran nearer. I thought the pain was permanent, thought I was too far gone, thought every little piece of me had already moved on. But somewhere underneath the wreckage, something wouldn't die. A tiny voice beneath the fear kept whispering, survive, and I didn't know it then. But the night wasn't my ending, it was the place where my eyes learned to see the first light. I couldn't see tomorrow, I couldn't feel the ground. I thought my prayers were disappearing into an empty sky. But when I had nothing left, when I couldn't save myself, something reached through all the darkness and pulled me back to life. The light chose me when I couldn't choose myself. It found me on the floor when I had nothing left. I thought I'd disappear inside the wounds I carry, but every broken piece of me was still worth being cherished. The light chose me when I was losing hope. It found the little flame I thought I'd finally let go. And now I understand why the darkness had to leave. I wasn't made to die inside it. The light chose me. I remember all the people who told me I would never change, all the doors that slammed behind me, all the names they called my pain. I remember being betrayed by the hands I trusted most, standing there with shattered faith and nowhere left to go. I gave my heart to people who treated it like something cheap, then wondered why I couldn't love when I couldn't even sleep. I blamed myself for everything, for every scar and every loss. I kept calculating what I owed for every bridge I crossed. Maybe I stayed too long, maybe I loved too hard, maybe I kept giving pieces of a tired, wounded heart. But I finally learned something I wish I'd known before. Not everyone who leaves you is taking something from you. Sometimes they're taking the weight you were never meant to carry. Sometimes goodbye is the first door toward becoming free. So I stopped chasing answers from people who couldn't care. Stopped begging for a little love from hearts that weren't there. I started talking to my soul like it was someone I could save. And for the first time in forever, I wasn't ashamed of the person I became. The light chose me when I couldn't choose myself. It found me on the floor when I had nothing left. I thought I'd disappear inside the wounds I carry, but every broken piece of me was still worth being cherished. The light chose me when I was losing hope. It found the little flame I thought I'd finally let go. And now I understand why the darkness had to leave. I wasn't made to die inside it. The light chose me. Maybe you're listening tonight with tears nobody knows about. And maybe you're exhausted from pretending you're okay. Maybe you've been asking, how much longer can I survive this? I don't know your story, but if you're still here, your story isn't finished. I know what it feels like when breathing feels like work, when getting out of bed feels heavier than the world. I know what it feels like to be surrounded and alone, to scroll through everybody's happiness while you're fighting your own. I know the kind of silence voice that screams inside your chest. When your mind keeps reopening the wounds you tried to rest. I know about the nights when you negotiate with fear. Tell yourself you'll make it through while wishing someone were near. But listen, you don't have to be fearless to keep moving forward. You don't have to feel strong to be strong. Sometimes courage is nothing more than getting up one more time. Sometimes healing is crying without apologizing. Sometimes faith is saying, I don't understand this, but I won't give up. The light chose me when I couldn't choose myself. Found me in the ruins of the life I thought I lost. I was counting every failure, every scar, every goodbye, but something kept reminding me you're still alive. The light chose me when I was losing hope. Helped me through the nights when I couldn't see the road. And every tear I cried became a river underneath me. I thought I was drowning, but the current was carrying me. The light chose me. Maybe heaven didn't answer in the way I wanted it to. Maybe the silence was an absence. There was a night I remember when the room felt smaller than my pain. I stared outside the window while the whole world kept moving again. Cars passed like little stars, people laughing somewhere below. And I wondered how the world could shine when I had nowhere left to go. I put my hand against my chest just to feel something alive, because somewhere along the way I'd forgotten how to fight. I had become so good at hiding that even I believed the lie. I told everybody I was healing while I was breaking inside. But something happened in that silence that I still can't explain. A little voice inside my heart said, don't let this be your ending. So I cried until the tears ran dry, then breathed until the shaking stopped. I didn't fix my whole life, I just survived that night. Sometimes that's enough. Sometimes surviving is the bravest thing you'll ever do. Some people love the version of me that never asked for anything. They love me when I carried their burdens, when I stayed quiet, when I made everything easy. But the moment I needed somebody, the room became empty. Funny how quickly people disappear when your pain becomes inconvenient. I used to wonder what was wrong with me. Now I wonder why I ever measured my worth by people who couldn't stay. I don't hate them, I just stopped waiting for them. I stopped checking doors that were never going to open. I stopped rereading messages, looking for a different ending. I stopped turning betrayal into a question about my value. You can love somebody and still let them go. You can forgive somebody and never give them access again. You can miss someone and still know they don't belong in the next chapter. And maybe that's what growing up means. Learning that closure doesn't always come from an apology. Sometimes closure is waking up one morning and realizing I don't need you to understand what you did to me anymore. I carried their words for years like stones beneath my skin, but I finally dropped them. I finally understood their opinion was never prophecy. Their rejection was never destiny. Their goodbye was never the end of me. did it teach me to become? My greatest enemy was never standing in front of me. It lived inside my thoughts and knew exactly where to reach. It knew every insecurity, every secret, every scar. It knew how to make one bad memory feel bigger than my heart. One mistake became a lifetime. One failure became my name. One person's rejection became a reason to hate my face. I fought battles nobody witnessed. I lost sleep nobody counted. I smiled through conversations while my mind was screaming underneath. But I'm learning now to question every thought that tells me I'm worthless. Not every thought deserves belief. Not every fear deserves a future. Not every dark prediction is a prophecy. Sometimes your mind is exhausted. Sometimes your heart is wounded. Sometimes you don't need another answer. Sometimes you just need to breathe and give tomorrow permission to arrive. So I stopped fighting myself like I was my own enemy. I started speaking to my soul like somebody I was trying to save. And slowly the war became quieter. There were prayers I couldn't finish. Words got stuck inside my throat. I didn't know how to ask for help when I didn't know what I wanted anymore. So sometimes all I said was, please. And then silence, just one word, one broken prayer. But maybe faith isn't always standing with your hands in the air. Maybe sometimes faith is crying on the floor and still believing morning will come. Maybe faith is taking one more step when you can't see the staircase. Maybe faith is holding on to a thread when everything inside you says let go. I wanted answers, I got strength, I wanted explanations, I got endurance. I wanted the storm to disappear. Instead, I learned how to walk through rain. And now I know some miracles don't look like miracles while they're happening. Sometimes the miracle is simply becoming strong enough to survive what you thought would destroy you. Now look at me. When I couldn't leave my bed, nobody heard the conversations that were happening inside my head. Nobody saw me stare at nothing for an hour in the dark, trying to find the person I was before I fell apart. I became an expert at pretending. I could laugh and hide the ache. I could walk into a room and make everybody think I was okay. But every night the mask came off and every wall came down, and all the things I couldn't say came screaming without a sound. I wondered if the person I used to be was gone. Wondered if the broken pieces could ever carry on. Then one morning I woke up and didn't feel completely numb. It wasn't happiness, it wasn't freedom. It was just a little less heavy. And somehow that was enough to make me keep going. I waited for the phone to ring, it never did. Waited for the apology, it never came. Waited for somebody to finally admit that they were the reason I changed. But time kept moving while I stayed frozen inside a conversation that would never happen. So I released it, not because they deserve forgiveness, because I deserve peace. I don't need you to admit you hurt me. I don't need you to understand what you took. I don't need you to regret the way you walked away. I don't need your explanation to validate my pain. You can can keep your excuses, I'll keep my healing. You can keep the memories, I'll keep the lessons. You can keep the version of me that begged you to stay, because I don't live there anymore. My mind knew how to hurt me better than anybody else. It took one little failure and turned it into a prophecy. You'll never change, you'll always be this way. Nobody will ever stay, you're too difficult to love. I believe those voices for longer than I wanna say. I let temporary pain write permanent sentences about who I was. But thoughts aren't always truth, fear isn't always wisdom, and a wounded mind can tell beautiful people terrible things about themselves. So I started answering back, no, not every day, not perfectly, but eventually. No, I'm not worthless, no, I'm not forgotten, no, I'm not destined to repeat every wound I've inherited. No, this isn't where my story ends. And every time I said it, the voice inside me became a little stronger. I don't need the darkness to disappear tonight, I just need enough courage to take another step. I don't need to see the whole road, I just need to trust there's somewhere worth going. And if the only light I have is a tiny spark, I'll protect it, I'll carry it, I'll become it. The light shows me when I was almost gone. It found me in the silence and taught my heart a song. I thought I was forgotten, thought heaven closed the door, but every time I hit the ground I found another reason to get up once more. The light shows me when I couldn't see my worth. It pulled me from the ashes and reminded me I'm worth the work. I don't need to understand why every storm came through, I only need to remember I survived what tried to bury me, and now I'm coming through. Some people only remember the version of you that fell. They'll remind you of your worst days, because they never knew you well. They'll say, you're different, yes, I am, because I had to become different to survive what I survived. I'm not ashamed of the distance, I'm not ashamed of the boundaries, I'm not ashamed that I stopped answering every door that came knocking. You don't get unlimited access to someone you repeatedly break, and healing doesn't always look like reconciliation. Sometimes healing looks like I wish you well, and walking away. No anger, no revenge, no final speech, just peace through the betrayal. I stayed through the silence, I stayed when staying felt impossible. And now I get to see what happens when someone refuses to disappear.